Good evening, everybody. It is the first Tuesday after the first week of the NFL football season. We are here.
Dun, 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 dun.
The Fantasy Football Buzz podcast. And of course, we are -1 tonight as the commish has had some technical difficulties, I guess.
Oh, bullshit. He's watching the Heat game. Come on. Let's just be honest.
He could be watching the Heat game.
Come on. Seriously.
We
I am
are,
as well, by the way.
We have finished week 1. And there is a lot to talk about. You know, here's my first take on week 1. We didn't even think we would have a week 1 not too long ago, right? So the fact that the first NFL season has even played is amazing. So my question is it more amazing that has happened or that James Conner got hurt 1 quarter into the first game? Okay.
I think we were all kind of expecting that.
I think so. And I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I haven't really seen that yet, but he didn't make it through the game, and it looks like maybe there's already a replacement for him there. But we have a lot to get to tonight.
Honestly, before he got hurt, Snell was looking better than Connor anyway, which was
he was
bad
already
thing.
in the game.
A lot better. Yeah.
So we're gonna.
And something to keep in mind, by the way, I just want to real quick cycle up. For a lot of teams, this is almost like a preseason. I mean, without a preseason, you're seeing the injuries. A lot of teams are shaking off rust. So it's going to be very interesting. One just word of caution: if you're not happy with your team, don't panic. Don't do anything stupid. Don't start making trades of guys that you picked early because people do that, and you know that. 100%. Don't start doing absolutely.
I already talked to someone in our league and discussed a trade, and so we will see. If he accepts it, we kind of did a verbal agreement, but we'll see if it actually goes through once it's done. I won't tell you about it.
We're going to want to hear about that trade at the end. Exactly.
Yeah, I really can't tell you about it because you probably go after the same guy.
Yes, I will.
Same league.
That is correct. Yes, I will do that.
So we're gonna discuss some of the takeaways that each of us saw after the first week. Then we're gonna get into some of the injuries. Of course, there's some actually hot news that just came off the press as far as we'll get into that. Mohamed Sanu signing with the 49ers. I assume you're thinking the same thing as far as that news. Was that the same news you were discussing?
No, that is definitely some news. I think the Michael Thomas news is
Michael Thomas.
Really
That's what I figured you were discussing. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be out for several weeks. We know that high ankle sprain can certainly linger for several weeks over a season.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Very big fantasy impact from other receivers, running backs, and quarterback for that team. You know that's a lot to take in for such a big time player.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you first, 2020, give me a couple of your takeaways, not necessarily just fantasy wise, but takeaways from what you saw as far as
from week 1
this week.
There was a lot of interesting stuff. And again, it's all going to be fantasy relevant and somewhat NFL relevant, but certain things that I think impact the player themselves and everyone around them. So to start with, Russell Wilson, that man is just filthy. I mean, I literally think he's getting better. And had it not been for Lamar Jackson having an unearthly season, that kid would have won MVP. But if you ask me right now, if he keeps this up, granted, again, I'm not going crazy. Atlanta secondary isn't anything that's exciting.
Yeah.
But 31 of 35 for 322 and four touchdowns. But let me tell you what's so exactly. But the takeaway that's so interesting isn't just his unbelievable game that he played. He also tacked on another 30 rushing yards.
Yep.
Chris Carson had 6 rushing attempts. Now, this is what's so interesting.
That's amazing.
This wasn't a game script where they were behind. They were ahead and pretty level and even all the way through. But this is what's so interesting. Carson wasn't getting hawked by Carlos Hyde or anyone else. The entire team had a total, other than Carson's, 17 rushing attempts.
Yeah.
So this is very unusual because you kind of thought they were going to come out like they did last year, really establish the run and have a pretty balanced attack. This was really unusual to see this. And then it was also kind of cool to see Lockett and Metcalf literally toe-to-toe, targets, receptions, and yards. Metcalf got the scores. Really, really interesting what came out of that game. So I mean, if you're you got Metcalf, Lockett, or Russell Wilson, you are very happy with what you're saying. Just with the gameplay.
So what I see in that game, and again, it's very interesting to have such a low total on rushing attempts in a game. Now, Atlanta could put up points. We'll go into Atlanta in a second. It was kind of one of my takeaways from this week, but it seems that you have the best player on the field as far as Russell Wilson, and your best players on that team are your wide receivers. So that's what they were doing. They were using Russell Wilson to his best ability. And the guy has proven it year in, year out. He's amazing. So
yeah, but that team can run the ball. They've got a good blocking offensive line. It was really surprising that they weren't trying to milk the clock, have a balanced attack. It was a weird game script.
They know. Look, Atlanta did it all last year. They're a second half team. They come out and they get behind. It's the same script like every single week. That's why Matt Ryan is such a good fantasy quarterback. They get behind. They have to come back. They throw the ball. They abandon the running game. Gurley had a good first half, but it's like the same game script as last year, almost every single week. I had Matt Ryan last year as my fantasy quarterback, and I loved it. He was, he's 350 plus and like 3 or 4 touchdowns every week, it seems.
Yeah, he had 450 and 2 last week. We've been talking about it leading up to the season, how much that offense is just wide open for him. And Todd Gurley, I think, had 13 carries or maybe 15 carries.
Yeah, 12 carries.
12 carries, right? 12 carries.
12 points.
Yeah, and it was fine. It was the game script, but what was amazing, all 3 wideouts, and this is another thing I was going to get to. We might as well stay with that game. Russell Gage, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, all of them, 12 targets, 10 grabs, all of them over 100 yards. Ridley with the 2 scores, but unbelievable. Surprisingly, Hayden Hurst had pretty pedestrian numbers, but those 3 wideouts absolutely lit it up. They're just going to throw like crazy. If you have any piece of that offense from an air perspective, you're going to be very happy this season.
All right, so one of my takeaways from this week is that Gardner Minshew is just a baller. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the talent, he's got what seems to be known team around him. And what do? They go out and take care of the game. They fall a little bit behind, and it's like the same again. It's another player, not necessarily team, but he moved teams, right? Phillip Rivers, and it's like the same script that he had in San Diego.
Right? Gardner Minshew is doing what I thought Baker Mayfield was gonna do: win games, find ways to win games, play smart football, have a really good football IQ. He looks so much more like Baker Mayfield than Baker Mayfield, and I agree with you. The kid can flat out ball. Not sexy. It's not sexy. But he took on a really good Colts defense, and he found a way to win.
He just, it seems like he has this love for the game, and the players around him react to it.
Absolutely. And his prominence is making James Robinson fantasy relevant. He had the bulk of the carries.
Absolutely.
Yep. This is a guy that he was a late round flyer, maybe a 15th, 16th round. If you took him and you're in a keeper league, you're very happy right now because they let Fournette go because of him.
Yeah. So I'm going to give a shout out to our Jacksonville connection, Adam Whiten, because he's been listening to the show religiously. He downloads it after, he doesn't listen to it live, and I know that. He texted me, and we did give Jacksonville a little bit of shit. Sorry, during our preseason shows, not during the preseason, but I'll give them some respect. They went in there and won that game.
So we got someone that wants to call in. So what's the number to call in? Are we showing it?
We actually, sorry, Kenneth, tonight we do not have a call-in number tonight because the commish is the person who feeds in the calls, and he wasn't able to make it tonight at the last minute. So you can ask us your questions online right as you're typing in, and we will discuss it. But sorry, we don't have that call-in. What you can do is if you do want to join us, you can actually shoot us an email at buzzfantasyfootball@gmail.com, and I could send you the link.
And we'll put you on air,
I believe, and you could come on air. Yeah, that's what we can offer. If we could do it during the show, we'll try to do that. But ask us your questions online.
Absolutely.
So give me another one of your takeaways. We'll each do one more, then we'll kind of move on.
Okay. I can't decide if I want to go with OBJ, who is absolutely awful because it was Baker, or if I want to talk about Josh Jacobs, who is just unfreaking believable. This kid has a chance to be the RB1. Listen, I know Christian McCaffrey is amazing and he's just as two-dimensional, but I love what they're doing. Jacobs had 25 touches, 140 yards from scrimmage, 3 touchdowns. And this is what I love more than, by the way, all other running backs had 4 rushes. He had all 25.
Yeah.
What I love, though, is he had 6 targets. And this is where his game was lacking last year.
That's right.
Whatever the game script was, you had Richard coming in, you had DeAndre coming in. He's getting the majority of the targets out of the backfield. If they ever do get in catch-up mode, they're a pretty exciting team right now. So this kid's the double threat. He has got moves galore. He is going to be a beast all year. So if you got him, you're going to be very excited.
He's in an excellent system there for him to succeed. They have rookie, they have seasoned wide receivers. They have Darren Waller. They have a good line. Carr is not the most exciting quarterback in the world, but he's steady, I guess. We split one team, right? 2020. We took him at number 7 or 8, whatever it was.
Yes.
And we couldn't be happier with that pick. Unfortunately, a few of our other picks kind of were duds this week, but we'll work on that.
OBJ being one of them. Yeah, I got Jacobs in 3 leagues. I had to have a piece of him. Yeah.
So I just got a text just before the show started, and I think the person misunderstood, but he said OBJ to the Niners with a question mark to me, looking to see what happened. I haven't seen that. I did see something earlier today about that, but then, as we know, the Niners have signed Mohamed Sanu.
Right.
So that certainly can help them out. He's Sanu at this point is not fantasy relevant, but for the team, he could be a good help. So before I give my other takeaway, let's go to our first.
We do have one question. Let's go ahead.
I'm gonna put it up here. Put a waiver claim in for Frank Gore in case Miles Sanders not being able to go next week. Is that a wise move? So. Yeah, go ahead. 2020.
Well, what I was going to say was, if those are the only options you have, yeah. But we're going to start talking about waiver wire pickups right now, and there should be a couple guys out there on your waiver wire. Nyheim Hines might have been drafted in your league. It's possible, but I know he's available.
I don't know.
In over 60. He was available in a lot of leagues. Malcolm Brown was pretty low on the depth chart. Everyone was going Cam Akers. If he's available, that is by far the hottest waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, the only reason Frank Gore is potentially interesting is because of
Bell's injury, right?
Right. So I don't know. Picking up a 36-year-old running back. Peterson did look good, but it just.
But Frank Gore's not Adrian Peterson either. Yeah. And also, the Lions have a little bit better of a blocking offensive line than the Jets. They're terrible.
I would say, I have Miles Sanders as well, Kenneth. I do believe that he is going to be fine this week. I know he's limited practice, I believe, again today, but I think they'll work him in this week, and he will be fine. They desperately need him back in that offense. So I think he'll be fine.
He's not back, Boston Scott looks like he got banged up as well. Go out and grab Corey Clement. He's going to see a nice piece of that backfield.
Yeah, I think if there's somebody else to pick up besides Frank Gore, do that. I think we both agree on that, and we'll talk about some of the other waiver pickups in a little bit. So one of my other takeaways from this week is the almighty Tom Brady will be on an 8-8 team this year. And they will not make the playoffs. And Belichick will be sending him little kind of I told you so emojis on his phone, probably. But I think, I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. And I know we've said that before, and Brady's had a bad game and then comes out and he'll throw for 450 next week and, 5 touchdowns. But I don't see the team gelling. I mean, I saw a few nice passes here and there. but I just didn't see the play calling. It just wasn't working all together. And there's already, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I mean, I agree with you. I do love Bruce Arians. The guy's got he's got an incredible offensive mind, and they've got so much talent going over there. And they added Leonard Fournette on top of that. They've got a pretty stout defense as well. The problem I see is Brady. I don't think it's the system. I don't think it's the play calling. Tom Brady's numbers, he's been declining for the last couple of years. He didn't have a ton of talent around him in New England, but now he's got between Godwin, Evans, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brake, Gronk. I mean, they've got Fournette. They've got a lot of talent there. I think the problem is actually Brady. It's a different system, different coach. I agree with you. I think Tampa's going to have problems. And as you and I being big Dolphin fans, I don't care. It's the Patriots, and wherever Brady goes, I want them to lose as well. So, yeah, very interesting. I think he's going to have some trouble this year.
Yeah, just with that offense, with a Bruce Arians offense, they want to push the ball downfield. And, do you think that maybe Winston was maybe a better fit? Him.
Fitzpatrick was better. He was. I mean, look what D Jackson, Mike Evans did. So what's going to happen is Godwin is going to emerge as a 90-plus catch receiver, maybe 1,000 yards, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns. Mike Evans is going to be the one that's going to have problems in this offense. He's that stretch the field receiver.
Mike Evans, right? But Mike Evans was also, from what Mike Evans wasn't even necessarily supposed to play this week, and then he played, so it almost looked like he was a decoy for most of the game.
Yeah, but I was saying this before the season started, though, that my feeling on this, the two wide receivers, that who's the one to have here? It's Godwin. He just fits Brady style. He's that Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type. And Brady's just not getting the ball out 40, 50 yards downfield, or even 30 yards downfield. So, right. I'm not loving it if you have Evans here.
All right. So is there any other takeaways? If you want to share one more, go ahead. Then we'll move on.
There is. I got to talk about this because it's another one of those quirky things like what came out of Seattle. Austin Eckler, 19 rushes, very, very decent rushing numbers, 19 rushes, 1 target, 1 reception. But here's what's interesting. That was the only running back target in the entire game. So it's not like he was being phased out. And if you remember what Eckler did last year before Gordon came in, his rushing numbers and attempts were very pedestrian.
It was the other side. Yeah.
Exactly. And then when Gordon came back, who, by the way, looked fantastic in a Denver uniform, he really looked good after the fumble last night. When Gordon came back, Eckler had 90 grabs last year. So is this Tyrod Taylor? Is this not going to be checking the ball down? Josh Kelly took 12 rushes away as well, he looked very good doing it, and he got the touchdown. Listen, I'm not saying if you have Eckler start panicking. I don't think it's going to go that route, but it was just extremely interesting to see how that game played out. 1 target to a running back the entire game and 19 rushing attempts. That is not what we were expecting. If you were in a PPR, you were grabbing Eckler early because you were loving what you were going to get there.
Right. I think that is Tyrod Taylor. You have a new quarterback in that system. You do not have Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers loves to check it down. Look what he did in Indy this week, right? He checked it down to Hines. Hines is scoring touchdowns. Throws to the running back. It's a complete different quarterback. You have a quarterback in there that's looking to, prove something, push the ball downfield, make big throws. That was nerve-wracking if you're an Eckler running back, especially the fact that he didn't get the targets, and then when they were inside the red zone and ready to score,
they gave the
put
ball
in
to Kelly.
Yeah. I mean that's
well, what's even more nerve-wracking, it's not like someone else got the targets. One running back targeted past the entire game.
No, because
Tyrod likes to take off. I mean, that's just that's flukish. I don't think it's going to happen like that. But if you drafted him because of a PPR league, you're not going to see 90 grabs again this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely. I would imagine that that's something they will work on in practice this week. Like, hey, we need to do this because that takes big chunks of yards when you do it.
Yeah, he gets chunks of yards that way.
I do think that will change, but it is certainly something to keep an eye on as far as having Eckler. If you can somehow move him right now, I would say do that.
Yep.
But after a week like that, you're not going to get much value for him.
I might wait because right now you're selling him low. I'd wait a couple weeks,
have a good
get
week,
some good,
right?
Yeah, get a couple matchups in there. I wouldn't panic. Again, don't panic. It was just very interesting to me to see that kind of a game narrative out of a team where you have such a talent and such a good pass catching running back.
All right, so let's do it. Let's move on to some of the injuries and how they affect things, and then we'll go on to some of the waiver wires, and then you can watch the rest of the Heat game. How they doing now, by the way?
69-72. They're down 3. It's been a game of
that's couple. So
they were down by 12 at one point, and then they came back.
All right, so what is it? The third quarter?
Yeah, coming to the close of the third quarter.
Of the third. Okay.
Very tight game.
So we're gonna do this in 15 minutes, so you can watch the last 5 minutes of the game.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
And then cry. No, Tracy, I'm a good man, Charlie Brown. Funny. That was a good one.
You see how I did that?
Inside joke. Yeah, I did see how you did that.
You see that?
All right. So biggest injury that we're hearing about, obviously, Michael Thomas. Go ahead. Talk about Michael Thomas. All right.
Well, at first it came out that it was a high ankle sprain, and they were playing it down like he might not miss a lot of time, if any. And if you know anything about high ankle sprains, it is very rare that is a nominal injury. I mean, ankle sprains, you can come back in a week. Sometimes you don't miss any time. High ankle sprains can very often be season ending. And what I mean by season ending, maybe you're out 4, 5, 6 weeks, but when you come back, you're just not the same. And what's so interesting about this injury, not only is it knocking the 5th or 6th player off the board, obviously the first wideout, this affects everyone on the team. You've got stock now rising in Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, and maybe even a Traquan Smith.
Absolutely.
Right? But you've got stock dropping in Drew Brees. And of course, completely fell out in Michael Thomas. So
yeah, I mean,
Alvin Kamara stock's going to rise as well from this.
Yeah, that was interesting. They really ran Murray a lot, and going into the last drive of the game, Kamara only had 30 total yards. He had 13 rushing and 17 receiving. Now he had the 2 touchdowns.
The 2 touchdowns saved his day, but that was unsettling.
Yeah, no. If you're a Kamara, you're like, hey, what's going on?
Well, also understand Tampa Bay has one of the best run-stopping front sevens in football. So let's talk. Let's say that Kamara's first game back again. It's kind of like a preseason game. I'm not worried about Alvin Kamara, and with Thomas going out, it's only going to help Kamara's numbers. So don't be freaked out. Don't panic. If you have them, the touchdowns were good. Don't worry about the yardage. If you're a Drew Brees holder, you need to start worrying a little bit. I'm not kidding. Without Michael Thomas, it's going to be a little bit different for this guy because that's a safety blanket.
Yeah. You got to figure he's going to find another favorite receiver. He'll get Emmanuel Sanders more. I mean, even with him getting injured, he only had 3 catches in the game. Yeah. So Brees did not have one of these big games. He kind of started, if I remember correctly, he started off a little slow last year as well. But we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I think here's the question: who's going to emerge? Is it the obvious Emmanuel Sanders? I mean, he's not going to get
I don't know that's obvious. I would imagine Sanders is going to be your second. I would imagine that Traquan Smith is going to emerge here.
You think so? That's interesting.
I
think it's going to be Cook. I think Cook is going to step up, and he's got the talent. He, not quite what Jimmy Graham was in his prime when Brees and Graham were the most prolific, quarterback to tight end connection almost in the history of sports or history of football. But I think Jared Cook's got enough talent where you can count on him for 8-9 catches a game, some nice red zone targets. I think his stock's going to rise dramatically.
Well, I wish he would have done that last year
when you had him.
All right. So another big injury, Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
Right. We're going into this season. It was going to be Mack and then kind of handed off to Taylor at some point during the season. And so what happens? Hines has a big game. Mack gets injured and Taylor has, he does a little bit. So what happens now? Mack is now done for the year. He's from my alma mater, University of South Florida. So that's kind of sad. We don't have so many players in the NFL. So that's kind of sad to see, but now we got to talk fantasy. How does that affect Hines? How does that affect Taylor?
It's so funny. Marlon Mack is like the J.J. Watt of football. This guy gets injured every year. I mean, I didn't expect it to be in the first half of the first game, But it's amazing. And what's sad is you're right. He's a really, really good football player. He's a good running back. So his injury is not devastating. If you had him, I don't think he was anyone's RB1, RB2. He was probably your flex or a backup running back. So if you had him, meh. What for people that had Jonathan Taylor, though, you are absolutely positively, you just got the golden lottery ticket because now you're going to get a guy that's going to get 15, 20, at least 15 plus touches a game. Nyheim Hines, I honestly don't think his role changed as much. This guy, they absolutely love him at Indy. He gets a lot of those out of the backfield passes. He's the third down guy. Right. He's going to get 8-10 touches a game, right? He was getting that anyway. Now to be a little bit more. I love that kid. He's a great flex player. Yeah. Great flex player.
I think what you're going to end up seeing is like a 50-50 split between them. Jonathan Taylor owners are happy, but I don't know if you can rely on him each week as your, RB1, RB2 even is probably what you.
No, I think a flex, an RB3 for JT. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's figuring that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Another injury we already discussed very, very briefly is James Conner. Right. I wanted no shares of James Conner this year, which is exactly what I got. And now I know why. We insert Benny Snell. Benny Snell has 19 carries for 112 yards, 18 yards, something like that.
Very nice game. He looked good.
No touchdowns. Neither did Barkley have any touchdowns.
Right. But oh my God, Barkley's number.
I think that's one of the biggest. I don't know how long Connor is going to be out for, but what happens is if Snell is playing that well and has another game like that, Connor's in trouble as far as playing time.
You are absolutely right. Before Connor got hurt, they were spelling him with Snell, and he looked like so much the superior running back. He was cutting sharper. He was seeing the holes better. He was exploding through the holes. I know you're going to love that one, but he was exploding through the holes. Loved it. Just looked like the better back all around. So Connor, he might be. So here's the deal. It's already based on what we saw going to be a timeshare. We knew that. Right. He played himself into at least 30-40% of the snaps with Connor possibly being down. Yeah, easily, right? Possibly being down a game or two. Snell's going to get the load of it. He's going to get the majority of it. It can be a 3-down back. Connor comes back. You're not happy if you're a Connor owner right now. You're really not from what we saw this first week.
Right. All right. And another, I wouldn't say big injury because he's a Jet, but it's a big injury in Le'Veon Bell.
Right. But they're going to miss his 2.6 yards per carry.
Yeah. We're going to miss his stutter step.
That's right.
For the hole. So what do you do about that? I know I saw Bell go in leagues in the third round, and my eyes were popping out of my head as far as what are you doing? Obviously, that's not working out for whoever took Bell at this point. So they're going to be going after waiver wire pickups. And, that team, I guess, overall, they didn't look terrible. That's honestly one of the games I didn't watch because it's the Jets. But I guess they didn't play, overall incredibly bad.
It depends on how you want to look at it. I'll say this. They played one of the top 3 defenses in the league. Buffalo does have a stout defense. The takeaway from that game is Jamison Crowder is a beast. I drafted him late in a league and had him on my bench for better players. But if you have him, because that team, they're not a very good team. And they can't run the ball. And Darnold loves Crowder. He absolutely loves Crowder. There's really no one else to throw the ball to there. I don't like Gore. I like him as an NFL player. From a fantasy player in this situation, I think he's going to get you maybe 50, 60 yards a game. Not a lot of catches, not a lot of scoring. So there's better options out there. I'd stay away from him, to be honest.
Okay. So those are the main injuries. What else do you have as far as injuries? Do you have any other?
No, those were the main ones. Here, I'm going to look really quick. So I don't have to go off memory.
Speaking of jet wide receivers, how about Robbie Anderson?
Oh yeah, in Carolina, he was phenomenal. Absolutely.
I mean,
and it's interesting because Bridgewater doesn't really like to go downfield that much, and that's Robbie Anderson's game, and he's the third guy in that offense behind DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. But he looks like along with DJ, he looks like the receiver to have there.
Yeah. I think he's tall. I think for that, Bridgewater likes that. He can see him.
Yeah.
He goes up and gets it. But every single play, he looks like he's going to break in half. He's just so tall and thin. It just doesn't look like he could take the hits. But
he does. He doesn't have much of an injury history. He really doesn't have much of an injury history.
So how about this? Robbie Anderson and Jamison Crowder, the number 6 and 7 points wide receivers in the league in people's leagues last week. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting.
That is.
Okay, so let's just go through a couple of the hot waiver pickups. Obviously, we talked about one already with Snell, right? People are going to go after him. I can't imagine anybody drafted him unless you're in like a 16-team 3 running back league or something. I don't know, but I think he's available in like 80 or 90% of leagues.
He's available in quite a lot of leagues. But I think if we're starting at the number 1, probably the hottest waiver wire pickup this week, it's got to be Malcolm Brown. I think a lot of people thought Cam Akers was going to be the running back to emerge out of that backfield. Brown
or Henderson.
Or Henderson.
People thought Henderson was going to be.
Yeah, they traded up to get him last year, right?
Yeah.
But if you looked at those 3 running, if you watch any clips of the game, Malcolm Brown looks so much better than the both of them. Again, hitting the holes hard, an explosive back. McVay said he's going to ride the hot hand. That is clearly Malcolm Brown right now. And he wasn't terrible last year either, playing behind Gurley. So this is a guy that I would say if you're really hurting, if you're, a Bell owner, a Connor owner, one of the other running backs that is not performing that you don't like, I'd say Malcolm Brown at this point, as good as he looked, I would spend 15 to 20% of your fab money, your free agent money. I've seen other sites go as high as 25 to 28% of your free agent dollar. I think that's a little high.
That seems high, especially after week 1. And
right,
it's like what happened. I just go back to Belichick, right? And he'd put a running back in there, and they'd have 150 yards one week, and then be benched the next week for no particular reason. I don't see that happening with Malcolm Brown, but I don't necessarily see him getting the bulk of it either. I know that they want to work Cam Akers in. Henderson is still there. Maybe he's already showed that he can take over that spot from Henderson, but if Malcolm Brown has a couple bad plays, maybe one bad series, does somebody else go in there and maybe
that's
they
right.
get
so
hot.
Don't be the fool in your league. If you have $100 free agent dollars that goes and spend 40 of it on Malcolm Brown right now, let other people do that. There's even a couple of other running backs this week that you can get far cheaper. And I'll tell you, listen, this is football. And this is a football that did not have a preseason. I can absolutely positively guarantee you probably every week, if not every other week, you're going to have a running back that you're going to be able to pick up. That's going to give you value. Some studs out there as well. We lost Marlon Mack, Malcolm Brown, Marlon Mack,
Bell, Connor.
Malcolm Brown emerged. A couple others that we didn't lose, but emerged.
Josh Kelly.
Josh Kelly emerged as and one that I love. I actually drafted him in the 16th round of one of my drafts. I kind of talked about him a little while ago. Is James Robinson. Again, this is an undrafted free agent. First time that's happened where they started for a team as the starting running back in the league. I think that's very cool. That's the reason they let Fournette go. They were so high on this kid, and man, did he show that he could ball out. He played really well. He got the majority of the reps against a pretty good Colts front 7.
Yep.
You can get this guy a lot cheaper if he wasn't nabbed in your draft. A lot of people weren't sure who it was going to be. It was going to be him or Ogisby, if I'm saying that right, who is now on IR. So this is his backfield. He owns this backfield. You have a 3-down bell cow here. And I think him $20-25 should be able to grab him.
So I'm going to go through 6 running backs that should be on a lot of waiver wires, maybe not all of them. You have Snell, Malcolm Brown, Hines, Barber, who had a nice game.
Peyton Barber,
Peyton Barber, Kelly, and Robinson. Robinson probably is less, because they had already traded Fournette, depending on when people drafted.
He probably got drafted, yeah.
He may have been drafted, but that's 5 or 6 running backs right there that have the ability to be picked up this week.
And stay on the Miles Sanders information, because Boston Scott got hurt. So if Miles Sanders can't go, you got Corey Clement with the backfield that's pretty much all his.
Yeah, certainly. So there's that. Do you have any wide receivers? Now, of course, we already talked about Michael Thomas and the Saints situation. Other than that, I mean, Deebo Samuel's on the IR, so he's out for a few weeks now. Sanu is there. They were talking about Bourne, but he really didn't show much in the game in San Francisco.
A couple good pickups for a couple good pickups. Robbie Anderson was not drafted in all leagues. He was the third guy down there. We just talked about them. He's on my waiver wire pickup. I also have Russell Gage. I know he was drafted, but from what I saw in Yahoo leagues, I think he's only on maybe 40% of leagues. That this guy, again, had as many targets and catches as Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones.
Okay, yep. I'm going to give you a guy that I drafted in the last round before I picked my kicker in our league, Anthony Miller.
Oh, yes.
In Chicago.
Yes.
He's on my team. Very happy about that. I mean, the guy just seems to get, the 70 to 80 yards a week and a touchdown. And he
got paced Allen Robinson.
Yeah, he finished like the last 4 or 5 games last year. He was on that pace as well. So it's like you're steady, like 15 to 20 points a week. I'll take that from a wide receiver.
Yeah, when Trubisky goes deep, he's generally looking for A. Miller. Yeah. I happen to agree. He's a nice little interesting spot play as well. Tre'Quan Smith. Tre'Quan Smith's going to be an interesting pickup with the loss of Michael Thomas for some time. He's going to come in now as the number 2 receiver, maybe the number 1. Who knows? Emmanuel Sanders, I'm sure, is drafted in most leagues. If he's not, obviously you want to grab him. If Jared Cook was somehow available as a tight end, you want to grab him.
So how about this? In a couple of leagues, I'm in 4 leagues, let's say, somewhere in that range. Sammy Watkins wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins, like everybody super cold on Watkins. And he wasn't drafted last year, gets picked up after the first week, and then basically maybe was he drafted in our league last year? I can't remember. But had that crazy first week last year and really didn't do much the rest of the year.
That's right.
Now he has a nice first week. It's not 200 yards like he did last year and 3 touchdowns, but he
paced the team in targets and receptions.
And he had his touchdown. He had about let's say 18 to 20 points depending on our scoring systems. Again, nice week for a wide receiver. He was the number 10 wide receiver in fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? Again, not drafted.
Interesting. If you can get him on the cheap, maybe $10-12, take a look at it. But again, he did this last year, and then he completely disappeared. There's so many mouths to feed there with, obviously Tyreek, Kelsey, Hardman, Darius, Demarcus Robinson. So, a lot of mouths to feed. Yeah. I wouldn't go nuts on Watkins.
Yeah. What about Valdez-Scantling?
Yes, he's good for that every year, though. I know it's his 3rd year in, but, he's good for those big plays. Rodgers looked like the old OG. He looked like OG Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. And I don't know that I would expect that every week. Let's see if he can keep it up. He had 1, maybe 2 games like that last year. The rest of it, he wasn't even playable. But my God, I was going to say he did. And I was going to say this before Michael Thomas got injured, but I was going to tell you, and I thought about it. And then after week 1, Devontae Adams was going to be the number 1 wideout in football this year. And man, is he showing it.
He looked good. Their
good.
Connection was going. They look good. Sometimes it's a defensive play. Sometimes it's the cornerbacks. But when you're having that connection, nobody could stop you, it seems.
Absolutely. So another tight end that might be out there, I actually picked him up after some people had grabbed their second tight end, was Noah Fant.
Yep.
I loved him last year when he started finally after he started playing with his third quarterback in Drew Lock, he got to establish that connection. And if you watched him in the first half, Lock was looking for him. I think he's going to be a great target all year. Jerry Jeudy's going to take some pressure off. Granted, Cortland Sutton wasn't in. And that's, we're going to see how that plays out. But I love Noah Fant. If you have George Kittle, we didn't talk about this. Injuries. George Kittle's injured.
Oh yeah.
And we don't know what that's going to play out yet. We're going to find out a little more in the next couple of days. What I would say is because Garoppolo is struggling for people to throw the ball with there, Jordan Reed, when healthy, is one of the better pass catching tight ends in football.
When healthy is the key there.
When healthy, agreed. So if you have Kittle, you might want to take a look at Jordan Reed. He's the next man up, or take a look at getting Noah Fant because he's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of grabs, and he's a beautiful red zone target for Drew Lock, who is a pretty impressive quarterback.
So obviously a hot pick up there is Dallas Goedert, who some people may have drafted. Depends on your league, but some people may have taken him, some people may have not. We talked about Noah Fant the other day. We talked about him that he kind of had to come in and learn the position. He didn't have a ton of football under his belt. But when you see him get the ball and run, he really looks great.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't really run like a tight end.
No, he reminds me a little of Shannon Sharp, doesn't he?
Yeah.
A little Shannon Sharpish. Yeah.
So,
but he could block. He's a great blocker on Melvin Gordon's touchdown run.
Yeah.
I saw him, lay out a linebacker to help open the hole, which is you want to see that keeps him on the field more.
All right. So we've done that. We've done tight ends, we've done wide receivers, we've done running backs, defenses. You're gonna,
you know what we didn't do? We never talked about a trivia question. I
was thinking about that before. We did not do our trivia question. We don't have a ton of time for it right now, but what we are going to do is put it out there. And here we go. Name the 3 teams that have appeared in 3 straight Super Bowls. So there's 3 different teams that have been to 3 straight Super Bowls. Or I guess at least 3 straight Super Bowls.
Right.
So if you can name those 3 teams, let us know. Let's see what we got coming in. We have Andrews, CMC, Andrews, and Watson. I'm going to put this up here. CMC. Oh, wait, why didn't that go up there? Okay. CMC, Andrews, and Watson for Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, and Ertz. Please, I need to know fast.
Wow.
Let's see. Aaron Jones, Jacobs.
So you're giving up CMC, Mark Andrews, and Deshaun Watson.
Wow. So
what's your backup? What's your quarterback if you're giving up Deshaun Watson? That's a big deal. Who's your quarterback if you're giving up Watson?
Let's see if he puts it in. He also guessed Patriots, Bills, and Cowboys. That is not correct. You do have a few of them correct, but not all 3.
Not all 3. That's right.
So CMC,
I'll tell you,
Andrews, and Watson. Yeah. I would say, that's a crazy one. So Breeze is his backup quarterback, so that's fine. I think Breeze will be fine. You could probably also stream a quarterback at this point. There's going to be people out there. So you're getting Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs to make up for that loss with CMC. Obviously, you're hurting at your second running back, or you wouldn't be doing that. I love Jacobs. Love Jacobs. Aaron Jones, something, and Zach Ertz. Andrews, bless you. Andrews is very nice as well. And man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Let me ask you a question: who's your other running back? Is it? Is this the guy that's got Miles Sanders as other running back?
No, I don't know. No, different person. Getting Aaron Jones, Jacobs, and Ertz, Andrews. Ertz didn't do a lot week 1, but I'm not that worried about him. I'm not, I think it'll be more of even with him and Goddard. Goddard actually had a touchdown and a little, a few more yards. So I'm not worried about the Ertz and Andrews. I'm fine with.
I would love to know who you're obviously doing this because
I would almost say do this. You're getting 2 starting running backs for 1. That's your real. I'm actually getting CMC and I also have Cook. Then
What?
Oh, so
you're getting CMC.
He's getting CMC.
And giving up Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs.
Absolutely. Done.
Done. Done.
Hit accept.
I thought it was the other way. Right now. Get off our show and go take that deal right now.
Absolutely. You're gonna have Cook and CMC as your starting running backs. Okay.
God. Yeah. If I was the commissioner in your league, I don't know if I'd let that go through. Yeah, no, that's a nice draft you did there. Some people do the 0 RB draft.
Yeah.
I'm a 3 RB draft as well, especially when you have a flex all day long.
So
very good.
All right, so we kind of covered all we wanted to cover today. We are going to try to do a show later, and we're definitely going to do a show later in the week. So keep an eye out for that.
Yep, Saturdays. Help you with your
Saturday mornings
lineups.
is the plan. We might do another little a shorter show, possibly Thursday, maybe even during the game, as people are watching. They we could talk about it on the show. Only reason I'm hesitant is because I would have to have flex. I would have to flex Moss, Green, and Allen.
Flex one of those. Yeah, I love AJ Green. Yeah. AJ Green. Everyone thought it was going to be Tyler Boyd. Burrow was looking for Green all day. I don't have a problem.
I think between that, you must have waiver pickups, so you can still do waiver pickups, right?
Yeah, but when you've got CMC, and Dalvin Cook, those two as your starting running backs, that's going to make up for any deficiency you have out of your flex. That's like having 3 positions. And again, I don't know if you're in a PPR or half-point PPR. Joe Burrow is the real deal. AJ Green is the guy as long as he stays healthy. I think we saw that. So I think you're good throwing Green in the flex, getting CMC and Dal Cook as your 2 running backs.
We still say take that deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay, so we hit everything. Anything else you got on your mind tonight?
No one got the trivia question right. Anyone else want to try it before we give the answer?
So we did have a guess of the Bills, Patriots, and Cowboys. Like I said, you got 2 out of 3.
We'll even help you. We'll tell you that the Bills and Patriots are correct.
And if you've watched this show, which we know many of you have, and making comments, it is our team, your Miami Dolphins.
Fins up, baby!
Back in the 70s, the dream years. It's been that long since we've really done anything else.
Oh, God.
And we started the season kind of like last season.
Why do you think we're so into fantasy? Because our NFL team is garbage. Gotta have something. Yeah,
man. We didn't even really talk about the Dolphins. And Preston Wilson. Oh, there's another injury. Is
Preston Williams?
No, Devontae Parker.
Which we know the series of, yeah.
We don't, but Preston Williams didn't have a very good game, but neither really did anybody on the Dolphins. So we'll look for that to change.
Surprising that Myles Gaskin with Jordan Howard and Breda, Myles Gaskin was the hot hand at running back. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
So Andrew, you made another guess. With the Steelers, we've already given the answer, which is the third team was the Dolphins. So the Bills, Patriots, and Dolphins were those 3 teams.
Exactly.
And before we sign off, Andrew is about to ask one last question.
Yeah.
We have Dave chiming in, Chad Pennington forever. We try to forget those years, but thank you very much.
Wait a minute. That was one of our best seasons with Pennington under the helm.
Yeah, I know, but he was a Jet.
He was.
Hard to forget.
Fan club president.
All right, Andrew, get that question out before we got to go.
He had one of the best hands in football.
Unfortunately, it was
wow. The Heat were down by 11 just a minute ago. Now they're only down by 4 with 6 minutes to go.
Okay. I feel like I should trade Jacobs, especially. Let me put this up here. That's another question from Andrew. I feel like I should trade Jacobs, especially because he went crazy last week and then plays the Saints, New England, and Bills. So let's see him now. So selling him now would be the highest I can get.
A high point. But here's the deal. And you know what? We start getting too finessey with our fantasy. Right. You're looking at the matchups, and he's got some tough defenses coming up. Who are you going to trade Jacobs for, where you're going to get your value back? I mean, 2 other guys. You don't, unless you are really hurting somewhere where you're not, right? Isn't this the guy? Wait, was that someone else who had CMC and Dalvin Cook? That was a different person, right? Do not trade.
He's getting CMC in this trade, and he's
right.
giving up Jacobs.
He's giving up Jacobs. Okay, so that's why you're doing it. But you know what? You're giving up Josh Jacobs and you're getting CMC back.
Yeah.
That's about the only player on the planet I would approve that trade for.
Yeah. I mean, but both of those guys are in every down,
right,
on their teams. There's not that many players on teams that do that. Now, with you're looking at David Carr, Teddy Bridgewater, probably somewhat similar. I just still got to go with CMC here. And I know that Jacobs had a few more points than him. It was the touchdown. One touchdown was the difference with their points for the week. Other than that, it was about the same. But long term, I mean, McCaffrey just does it every single week.
He does. Jacobs is going to be on his tail this year, though. I really believe that. Yeah. He is the bust-out player of the year, in my opinion. He's just going to break through everything. But Christian McCaffrey is the running back god, so I like the trade for you. Excellent.
Okay. Let's we are wrapping it up. We will see. We'll see you later in the week. Keep an eye out if you have any questions. buzzfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Give us an email and we can talk about it on the show. If you'd like to join us on the show, send us an email. Other than that, do your waiver wire pickups. Enjoy Thursday night, and we will talk to you soon.
Nice show, Cyclops.
Later.